Welcome to online NPTEL certification course on Pharmacognosy and Metabolic Engineering. This is lecture 40, where I will give you a brief outline about oleoresins and polyterpenes. So, the concepts covered: first oleoresin and then polyterpenes. So, oleoresins, what are oleoresins? Let us go to the board. Oleoresins are, in true sense, they are the tree resins, that is, these are obtained from tree. And what is the purpose? They basically protect the trees from predators, or we can say they protect the, let us use a simple word, from harmful insects. So, one example of such group of insects come under bark beetle. So, these particular beetles, they attack the particularly the conifers, and in the process they destroy the bark. And what happened? And they are doing this to get the nutrient from it, but while doing so, when barks are destroyed, that leads to fungal infection. That is, this destroyed bark actually is a source for fungal infection. So, in other words, bark beetle basically they facilitates fungal infection in conifers. So, in order to protect from these, the conifer trees, they basically synthesize and secrete oleoresins. Now, oleoresins, so they are basically synthesized within the cell, and then, as I said at the very beginning in this course, that there will be resource allocation from vascularization towards the formation of traumatic resin ducts. So, these resins are basically secreted out through specialized ducts, which are called resin ducts. Now, important point is that what constituents this? So, basically the oleoresins, they are the complex mixture of terpenoids. So, this includes two parts. One is non-volatile rosin fraction. So, and these are mostly diterpenes. The C20 compound, and this includes, example includes, these are the different resin acids such as eubiotic acid. Eubiotic acid I have mentioned in the previous class. So, the other portion that constitutes, that is the 50% is this, and remaining 50% are volatile terpentine fraction. and actually the name terpenoids came from this turpentine. So, what are the constituents of this fraction? This contains many monoterpenes and few sesquiterpenes. And for example, example of a important monoterpene fraction present there is limonene, and this volatile terpentine fraction as such they are toxic for both insects and fungi. Now, we harvest oleoresins for different purposes, but plants or trees are producing oleoresins to survive, particularly from the biotic stresses. So, this is in brief about the oleoresins. So, now we will go to the polyterpenes. Polyterpenes is basically it is a polymer of isoprene, rather I write isopentenyl units, isopentenyl units, and which can go up to 1500. So, and good example of polyterpenes are rubber, and another one is called gutta. So, both are polymers of both are polyterpenes and polymer of isopentenyl units. Now, what is the difference between these two? Gutta actually here all these isopentenyl units are of trans configuration. Whereas, for the rubber these are cis configuration. Now, rubber usually occurs as small particles and suspended in milky white emulsion, which is called latex. So, if you see the composition of latex, it consists of 30 to 40% rubber and remaining 50% water, and the balance amount, rest 10%, is basically a complex mixture of resins, terpenes, proteins, sugars mainly. So, where rubbers are produced? Rubbers are produced in phloem tissue. So, rubbers are, I put it in this way, produced in phloem tissue, and it is basically accumulated in a series of interconnected vessels. This is important. Which are called latissifer. I have mentioned about latissifer before. Okay. Now, I have to give you some example for the rubber producing plants. The classical example of this is Hevea brasiliensis, that is the typical rubber producing plant, which is called Hevea. Hevea. Okay, I just Hevea brasiliensis. The origin is from the Amazon rainforest. So, the origin is from Amazon rainforest. And this is the main source. Apart from that, there are other species which are also producing rubber. For example, Ficus elastica, and species of Asclepias. And another important one is Tarazacum. Tarazacum species, this is called dandelion, particularly a Russian dandelion is one of the very good source for harvesting or harnessing rubber. Now, let us see what little bit about gutta. What is gutta? As I said, gutta is the same thing like rubber, but the configuration is different, and gutta is produced in a plant called Parthenium argentatum. So, this is also called guaial, G U Y U L E. So, this is basically a desert shrub of Mexico. And this plant accumulated 20% latex by weight basis, and here this latex basically this latex accumulation occurred in vacuoles of stem and root cells. But one thing you must remember, but not in latissifer. This is only the difference between the gutta and the rubber. So, this is in brief an overview of polyterpenes. So, I avoided the chemistry, rather I try to put more information of the general aspects. In a future class, when I will make an overview, so there I will try to show you some of the photographs of this plant, so that you can get an idea. So, with this brief outline of polyterpenes and oleoresins, I will end this class and we will move into the next topic. Thank you.